No, frankly, it's not. Year by year planning is the same as, almost the same as who's covering the truck tomorrow night. Most departments have apparatus plans, they have capital improvement plans that go out 4, 5, 10 years. Engines get done every 20 years, ambulances get done every 5 to 10 based on your volume. Ladder trucks, 20 years. But we don't plan for where the department's going to go until crisis. And part of that's inherent in the nature. Crisis happens, bell rings, we respond, we deal with it, we take care of the patient, put out the fire, move on. So budgetarily and organizationally, a lot of agencies run the same way. When the fire happens, when we don't have enough staffing and we're starting to miss calls, when our budget's going to be cut by the municipality and we're going to lose people due to layoffs, then we rally the troops and we figure it out. A forward-looking agency would have said, let's start justifying the need for the people we have and increased needs 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And if there's something big on the horizon coming, like an aging volunteer corps, and you're going to have people hitting their 60s where they may not want to respond as aggressively as they did before, and there's not people coming in behind them, when you start streamlining that stuff out, you can see that in 2014, we're going to have response problems. So maybe we ought to start thinking about or putting the idea in people's heads that we might have to do supplemental staffing or ramp up our training to try and recruit some more members into the Corps. And I don't think a lot of agencies do that. They're more bell rings, problem, now let's solve it. We're going to ask you, if we're working on a strategic planning project with you, we're going to sit with you and ask you the problems you're having now. We're going to look at problems you have dealt with that may crop their head back up again. We're going to look at funding and resources. We're going to look at intended growth in the community. For one community that we have, they went out several years ago and solicited lots of assisted living facilities. And as usual, the developers went, oh, that'll never have an impact on EMS, that's not a problem, or fire, no big deal. Which anybody watching this video in EMS or fire right now is laughing because they know that it's got a huge impact between smoke alarm activations, food on the stove, wellness checks, falls and slips and trips and blood pressure checks and things like that. It increases call volume exponentially. And the agency that we're dealing with now is having to try to play catch up because they didn't talk about staffing in advance. And now their call volume in the last 2 years, as the population has aged, as it would in a retirement community, and they've got full capacity now, their call volume has doubled. And now they're trying to play catch up and try to figure out how to get enough people in. And they've had to go to the town for money to get resources for paid staff. And that's something that could have been eased into had more fruitful discussions been held as those building permits were issued.